Hi everybody, Happy New Year. Working in the background, as you can see, I'm going through and I'm doing all the hole drilling along the right wing. Thousands of holes, it takes a long time to drill them all. Been a little while since I came out with a new video. A lot of that is due to the fact that I took 2 weeks off, went back to Texas, visit with family for Christmas and the holidays, and then when we got back, it snowed at the top of our mountain. And we were stuck up there for 5 days. I actually couldn't come to the hangar even if I wanted to because we were just stuck. Mental note, get more supplies if you're going to be in the top of a mountain and you get stuck up there. Just throwing that out there. So I wanted to talk briefly about the video that I had put out while I was in my motorhome in Texas, where I had talked to you guys about a possible product where something you would use alongside with your plan so that you could actually go step by step through your plane build, whether it's an RV-10 or RV-6, whatever, and see other people's input on those, each step or each paragraph or each chapter or whatever, and give you a place where you could say, hey, I tried this, I tried that, whatever. But it's also a way to organize all the other information that's out there. Think of it as an indexing method, not a forum. And I think that's the number one thing that I want to get across. First of all, the advice that everybody came out with was fantastic. And it seemed like it was mostly all positive. There were a few naysayers who didn't like the idea, but the theme was strongly, for those who didn't like the idea, was that they didn't want to take away from Van's Air Force. The forum format. And I don't want to take away from that either. That's not what this is about. This is about indexing and organizing all the disparate information that's all over the internet, whether it's on other people's personal blogs, whether it's on the VAF, whether it's anywhere, right, on YouTube, because there's lots of good stuff on YouTube, and bring it all into one place where people can have an easy access and know, hey, here's something that's referenced or specific to this step, etc. So I still like the idea. An update though is I talked to Scott at Vans. He seemed positive, but he wanted to go reach out to the rest of his team, talk about it, and see if it's something they'd be interested in doing. And here's the thing: without their support, without Vans aircraft support, this idea is kind of dead in the water. And the reason for that is primarily due to versioning. So the RV-10 that I'm building right now is going to be slightly different than the RV-10 that you would build if you bought one right now. Just because Vans, they change things. Over time, they realize, this particular step should be done slightly differently for the betterment of the plane, or like a service bulletin that just recently came out that I showed. This needs, so the new plane has that already implemented, things like that. Version control is going to be a huge concern. The absolute last thing I would want you to do is to enact a step on your RV that was actually meant for a different version of the plane, and now you don't have the right parts, or we're giving you bad information, or whatever. So I would almost need to have, the way I envision it is, I would say, your builder number is 1234, therefore I know you have plane version 3, and so when you log in, you automatically have your plane version, and other people would have it to their plane version, and for a good long time, a number of people would have the same version. Software-wise, I think it's doable. The problem is, like I said, sourcing all that information from Vans Aircraft, and I can't blame them if they're not interested. I mean, there's a potential of liability there. There is extra work there. I'm less concerned about getting the information in. I don't know. Still in talks with them. We'll see what happens. Hopefully something will come out of it, but if it doesn't, well, we keep going about the way we're doing it now. I mean, it's not broke, don't fix it. I just wanted to bring more information to the game rather than less, and we'll see. So that's an update on what's going on there, and I don't have any more information than that. We'll see. Hopefully we'll have more answers in a few days. So I know this particular video has been kind of a long time coming, and like I said just a second ago, Part of that is because I was out of town for Christmas and New Year's and just had other stuff going on. But part of it also is the fact that you've seen this before, right? And I feel bad about showing you the same crap over and over again. So I think that's also another good reason to do both wings at the same time, especially if you're going to film it, because otherwise we're just treading over ground we've already been over. What can you do? You see, I'm doing every other hole, and I'm clecoing it so that this is firmly on here. As I go back, I'm at the end of this skin, so I can actually pull this skin off. But I'm going to do the last bit of it here, and then I'm going to pull the bluing off. It is okay to do the drilling with the bluing on, but do not do dimpling with this bluing on. This is that clear plastic they put on here for protection. It's super, super thin. Like, there's just not much material here, and it's designed to protect the skin. But if you dimple the skin with this bluing on it, it will make a difference, and your dimples will not be quite deep enough. So, yeah. I had someone ask me if it's absolutely necessary to do this step, to run the drill through the hole. And if you look at it, it's not like there's any effort at all, right? The holes are already lined up. They drill through beautifully. And it takes no effort at all. It's not like I'm actually drilling a new hole. You're just doing a match drilling. Do you need to do it? The answer is yeah, absolutely. And the reason you need to do it is because, first of all, these holes before you match drill are ever so slightly smaller than the number 40 or number 30 in some places, or number 12 in a couple other places. Ever so slightly smaller. And the reason they do that is so that you can then drill up to the number 40 in this case, or 30 or whatever, to just to make sure they align. So I would say that the holes that are pre-drilled by Vans, like Vans did an amazing job, and each hole is probably 99.99% correct, right? I mean, it's just any hole that's off, like when you marry up two parts, it's off just by just a teeny little bit. And this fixes that. So can you assemble the entire plane without doing the match drilling? Possibly, but you shouldn't. I mean, there are definitely some places where there's not a hole drilled that you will have to drill. But for the most part, no, you definitely should do this step. And I think that this question came out of whether or not it's necessary because they didn't want to have to assemble the plane and then disassemble and then reassemble, and you'll do that a number of times, and yeah, just get used to it. That's just all there is to it. You're going to be assembling and disassembling this a bunch of times just for test fitting and to make sure before you do a final assembly, and you just have to accept that's just part of the process. So yes, you have to do this. So many damn holes. I can understand why he doesn't want to. There's a lot of holes. Back to it. So this area is a prime example of where you're going to need lots and lots of clecos. I have like 320-ish of the number 40 clecos, and you'll use them all, especially if you go through every single hole. In this case, you can see I'm only doing every other hole. And then still you'll use them all. They go quickly. The fuselage is going to be just as bad. The empennage, you need a buttload of them. I think that Vans says you only need like a couple hundred, but I think in the 300s is more realistic. Also, I got another question about how do you just keep doing this? How do you keep going? How do you stay motivated? And how do you not go, screw it, I'm done? That's an internal battle. That is something that's difficult, right? You have to stay motivated. I find that coming out here to the hangar every day is helpful, or your garage. Obviously, the farther away it is, the more difficult things can be. But if you can come out and just spend 30 minutes, even if your 30 minutes is literally just standing there looking at it and going, what do I want to do? Thinking about it, processing, you'll stay motivated. For me, another thing that keeps me motivated is you guys. I found that creating these videos and talking to people about it and just staying as part of the community has been really helpful. Now, have there been hard times? Yeah. There have been times where there's been entire months where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. and you know, you push through them. I've said this before, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And this is just an elephant. And, you know, stick with it, you'll do fine. It's tough though. I mean, you have to look deep down inside and know whether or not this is something that you can complete. It was a concern of my wife when I first started this as to whether or not I'd actually be able to complete it. And I said, I think I can, because this is something I'm really interested in. But I don't know. I mean, I might still fail, right? It might still be one of those things that tomorrow, but I might go, I don't want to do this anymore. And well, then what, right? So to that end, someone else asked, if you were to get into a kit, I think this particular individual was either about to purchase or was about to be given a kit that was partially completed. And he didn't really have a lot of room for it. He said, what do I do in that situation? How do I, do I sell it? Is it just garbage or what? I don't know the answer to that. I think all of this has value. I've got a completed empennage for an RV-10. It's probably not worth much. I mean, it's a buttload of aluminum. I mean, it's worth that if nothing else. Somebody probably wanted it, and if you priced it to move, I imagine it would move. Same with the wings. I mean, and especially if the workmanship is done even remotely good, I think that you could probably get your money back out of it. Same with the tooling. Like if you bought all the tools, you can spend $3,000 or $4,000 on tools, and that's not all just wasted money. The majority of the tooling, I think you could probably get your money back out of if you wanted to. So really, if I were to get out of this right now, if I said, done, don't want to do it anymore, not saying that. I'm just saying if that was the case, I think I could get most of my money back. The hangar, I couldn't get my money back out of that because this is not my hangar. I'm renting this hangar. But other than that, I think most of it, right? Maybe? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Table. Someone asked me about the table. How high, how big? So that is a regular sheet of plywood. It is a 3/4 inch, I think it's technically furniture grade plywood that is a 8 foot by 4 foot sheet. And then I've got a 2 foot extension on one end. And if you go back in time a couple videos, you can see where I built it. Is that enough table space? Yeah, for the most part. I think that's plenty. Having 2 of them would probably be really helpful, and which I have. I effectively have a table against the wall where I can put stuff, but I also have my table that I'm working on. And I think that's enough. My main table does have casters on the bottom so I can move it around. I would say if you're going to build your own table like I did, over-engineer your table, build it so that it's ridiculously strong. I can't speak today, not enough coffee. Over-engineer it so that it will not bow or flex, which we had that interesting experience in a previous video where I was noticing a weird bowing going on in my aileron as I was putting together, and it was entirely my table, not me. So over-engineer it and make sure that it's just brutally stiff and strong, and then I think you'll be fine with that. So to go back to the motivation thing for a second that I was just talking about, I had a fella ask me, like I said, I have people all the time ask me about how to stay motivated. What is the trick? What's the secret? Like there's a single secret to staying motivated. Like I said, for me, a lot of it is making these films, and this footage weirdly keeps me motivated. But each individual, you're going to have something different that drives you. What is that? Try to leverage it. And he specifically said, he likes the idea of making a film too, and putting together videos like this. And I said, well, it's awesome. I think you should. I mean, I don't know what the requirements are, and I want you guys to comment below, because I imagine a lot of you know this stuff better than I do, but I don't know what the requirements are when it comes to how you prove the 51% thing, like how much of it do you have to film or photograph or whatnot to prove that you're the guy? You know what I mean? I don't know the answer to that. People have asked me before. I need to research it, and I'll get back to you. Or if you know, please comment down below, because I'm curious. I'm also curious as to what motivates you. Like, what's the thing that motivates you to keep going on building a plane like this? Is it just that you'll have your own plane one day? Or is it some other aspect of it? And the reason I'm asking is entirely a selfish one, because maybe that'll motivate me too, and I just hadn't thought of it yet. But with regard to staying motivated, he asked specifically about filming it and doing a channel like this. I'm all for it, because I would love to like share and swap and have somebody else to work with. That would be cool. But it's a hell of a lot of work. There's there's no two ways about it. You're going to put a lot of effort. There's a lot of filming and there's a lot of editing, and it does get in the way. So it just happens I like that aspect of it. I like filming. I like the editing. I like going back and going, ooh, let's cut that out, or ooh, let's demo this. Let's show this. I like that. The downside is I have a habit of like coming out here and I'll do some work, and then I'll take the footage back, and I'll go back and I'll start to edit the footage, and I'll realize, gosh, I really wish I had a picture of, thing. So I have to come back out here and take a picture, or I'll make a note that I want to do, take some footage of this and then take a still of that. And then, I want to talk about the red bucket, and take a picture of that and all that other stuff. And so I write down on Post-it note what I want to do. And sometimes I'll film for the previous video the next day and edit it into the previous video, and that's what you ultimately see. There's a lot, it takes a lot. There's a lot of effort into filming. So I would say if you're into it, cool, do it. Just know that it is an ordeal, especially if you're, just a single editor. If you are the editor, producer, the talent, and I use that term lightly, if you're everything, then just know it's a buttload of work. So, but yeah, if it's your thing, like I said, staying motivated is key. It is it's definitely a thing you got to do. You got to figure out how to stay motivated, because otherwise, you're getting into something that is a long-term project that it's really easy to throw in the towel and go, screw this. Very easy. People do it all the time, I'm sure. But I don't know. We'll see. So back to it. The more I talk about this crap, the less work I do. I recognize that this might be a little confusing what I'm doing here. I'm drilling on one side, but every so often I'm going in, I'm putting a cleco in from the back side. The reason for that is because along this particular edge, there are holes that have to be re-drilled up to number 19. They're made bigger because it's a nut plate. Usually it's 3 holes in a line. Typically, but not always, the middle hole will end up being up drilled to number 19, and you'll use the bigger dimple die to fit the nut plate, and I'll show you that later. Not all of them, by the way, are this. Sometimes it's the top or the bottom hole depending on the nut plate design, so just follow the instructions. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting the cleco in from the backside just as a reminder that this hole will be the number 19 hole. This is what I was talking about. These are the ones that are going up to a number 19, and I've gone through and I've made sure that it's all of the correct ones, and that's why there's a cleco on the inside, so I can pull that one out and I know specifically which one to drill to number 19. One final thing before I head out of here is if you are going to do the filming, make sure you have your battery situation sorted out, because I've got 3 different cameras and 2 different battery types, plus an audio data recorder that has a different battery, and it seems like I'm always fighting with batteries. Have lots of batteries, or have a way where you can just plug in everything. That would have been brilliant, but I didn't do that. Cameras are important too. If you're going to get a camera system, to get decent little cameras, GoPros should work. I don't use GoPros. I just don't have any. All right, drill. Also make sure your chuck is tight. And make sure the drill's going the right way. What the hell, over? What's going on here? Hopefully that didn't bugger it up. But so lots of stuff to learn if you're going to go this route and you're going to do the filming thing. It can be very enjoyable. I mean, like I said, I enjoy doing filming. It is definitely something that could detract or take away from the amount of work that you do on the plane, right? It's a lot of effort. But I don't know. I think the payoff is good. The community is amazing. Having people that you have a conversation with over the internet, complete strangers, I mean, I guess that could be a mixed bag, right? That could be horrible, but so far I've not had that experience. Instead, I've had just wonderful people come forward with great information. I would say you're going to get a lot of unsolicited advice. I say unsolicited, I mean, it's kind of solicited, right? I mean, I'm putting this out there and saying, hey, what do you think? I want your advice. I want you to come forward and tell me things, hey, when I've done something wrong, primarily because I don't know everything. Well, I didn't say anything there. So the fact that I don't know everything it means I need to rely on people who do, or at least know more than I do. And there's a number of times when I may not have a piece of information, and the fact that somebody will take time out of their day to leave feedback or just give advice, that's fantastic. So thank you everybody for that. That's amazing. And so that's the best part about the filming of all this, right? About putting it up on YouTube. Yeah, it's a lot of extra work, and you're putting yourself out there. You're showing your mistakes. You're showing the positive with, the good with the bad. But I think the overall sense of community, and the people come out and they give you advice, and they help, and the number of people that want to come out and visit and just sit and chat. Hell yeah, man. That's pretty cool. With that, though, I think I'm going to close this particular video. Thank you very much, everybody. If you do me a favor and give a like or a thumbs up on the YouTube down there, that really helps with my rankings. Also, for those of you who keep asking me, can I come out and buy you a beer? Yes, you're more than welcome to. Personally, though, I find as I'm getting older, I'm drinking more coffee than beer. I would almost rather have coffee. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the way you can do that is to sign up on my Patreon campaign down below. For just $1 a month, you can actually help me support this channel and support what I'm doing. And you're buying me a cup of coffee. So thank you very much for my patrons, and everybody else that are watching this. You guys are fantastic. Have a good one.
Stop biting. I need a drill bit. You might be getting dull. Alright. Did I leave you on? Might have left you on. Ha! I did leave you on. Let's
see, getting ready to do some filming here. Had a couple people ask me what the red bucket was for. The red bucket is actually for two things. One, I have a leak up high through one of the screws, so just a drip right there when it's raining out. But that's not the most horrible thing that the red bucket's for. Sometimes when it's really late, I don't want to go walk all the way to the terminal to pee, so don't drink out of the red bucket. Don't do anything to the red bucket. That's what the red bucket's for. Or at least that's what I use it for.